All right, everybody. I am here with the queen, excuse me, the one and only Ruby Miranda, the queen of real estate, a great friend of mine, most importantly, someone that I admire greatly for her success here in the Houston real estate world. Thank you very much for joining us today, Ruby. This is going to be a quick intro and quick info about who you are, what you do, and mostly why everyone should attend our next event, the Real Estate Rally, where you're going to be a part of the panel.
Yes, well, thank you so much, first of all, for having me here today to talk to you about this. And thank you for the invite to sit on the panel. I'm super excited to be able to share my expertise and my experiences over these past 16 years with my fellow real estate community.
So I want to start off real quick by just asking you a little bit about how you got started and what makes you passionate about real estate.
Well, what makes me passionate about real estate is every time I think about not making my phone calls, not doing my follow up or my prospects, I think there's someone else out there that's going to be making those phone calls, and they're not going to care about the client as much as I do. Like, I know that when someone comes to me, whether it's to buy or to sell, I'm always going to do the right thing. I'm always going to put their needs above my own. And I also know that there's people in the industry that aren't like-minded. And so my motivation is making sure that I can be the one that helps these people to make sure they're taken care of properly. And that is passionate for me because it's such a huge undertaking. And like we know, most people only buy and sell real estate 1 to 3 times in their lifetime, and it's the largest financial transaction they make. And I want them to work with somebody that's going to do them right.
It sounds like you love helping people. And one of the things that we know about you, Ruby, is that you're one of the top producing women. One of the reasons we invited you to be able to come out and share about your experiences because of that. And I want to follow up with asking you, what is it about your niche specifically, which I know you focus a lot on residential. From what I understand, you're also getting into some commercial now as well. And you have a fantastically built team. Can you tell us about what made you want to go that route versus any of the other niches that exist in real estate?
Well, when it comes to, so first off, when it comes to residential real estate versus commercial, naturally it was easier to get started with the residential real estate, and I kind of fell into that. And when you get really good at something and you get a lot of it, then it's really hard to not to focus on that. And so it just came that the majority of my people, especially when I first got started, were first time home buyers, and that's always been a specialty for us. And now that those first time home buyers have started with me 15, 16 years ago, gosh, I can't even, I think it's actually been more than that because I got licensed in 2006. Those are now first time home sellers buying and repeat clients. And so it's just really kept me in there. I've started to devil out into commercial to, kind of get my feet wet, see what that's about. And I really like that aspect of it. It will never take me away from from my residential real estate though, because I love who I get to the opportunity to help that particular demographic. And in regards to starting a team versus going solo, it is very difficult for a solo agent to do everything that's needed. I mean, there's just so many facets of the real estate transaction. And as technology grows and our connection with the rest of the world just continues to grow at lightning speed, it is just getting more and more not possible for a single agent to produce at an extremely high level as an individual. And you have to be able to figure out what are my weaknesses and can I hire out for those things? And that's what I did. And that's why the team deal is always going to be for me, because I know that I'm not the best at everything. I mean, I'm the best realtor summed up, but I'm not the best at everything. And there are things that I fall short. And so I try to hire out for those areas that I fall short so that as a team, we can be uber successful for our clients.
Awesome. I love that. And I want to follow up with asking you about your real estate investments. But the reason why I'm asking you about that is because, as you know, the real estate rally is geared towards helping agents out there, and of course anybody in the real estate world, invest in real estate. And I know that you've started some of that as well, correct?
Yes, and actually, so I was a past president for NALREP for many years, as were you, Alan. And one of the high five, and the funny thing is, for years, people had always said, "You're on the front lines of real estate. You should get into real estate investing." And I mentioned NALREP because several years ago, I believe it was actually in my presidency that we did a investor rally at the comedy club, and when and for some reason something there just really clicked of what they said there, and what they said is, what's the average age of the room? The average age of the room is about 40 to 45. He's like, and the majority of people in this room, this is a second career for them, getting into the real estate. And we don't have a 401k, we don't have retirement plans, we don't have all this other stuff. And it's so important that you invest in real estate and own doors for your future. He said, don't worry about today's money. You're making today's money when you buy and sell real estate, you do your traditional real estate. When you're doing your traditional business, that's your now money. Your future money, your 401k, your retirement, what you're going to live off, plan for 20 years from now. How many doors are you going to own? And he goes, if a guy says that was up there, he goes, if you do nothing else, he goes, make it your goal to own 20 doors in 20 years. He goes, I mean, take it
Yep.
slow, take it fast, whatever. He goes, and so I try to really incorporate the Burr method, where I have a couple, I'll buy, renovate, rehab it, and get the money out of it, and then go on to the next one. I use hard money. I do whatever it takes. I find an investment property that comes across. I'm going to do whatever it takes now to get it. It's either going to be a good rental for my portfolio, or it's going to be a good flip that I can put money into it, flip it out, and make some money to help me get to my next rental.
I love that. I love that. And I know that that's one of the reasons that we wanted to have you on as a highlighted panelist, because not only are you building a business based off of helping others, you're also building this incredible portfolio, a full retirement plan based completely off of real estate. And I believe that that's the way that every realtor should go about building their business. So let's talk about a couple other things. How long do you think it took you to be profitable when you started building your business?
Well, the first 6 months in real estate, it was fabulous. We were like, okay, we're going to get licensed, going to be doing all this other stuff. And 6 months in, we sold zero transaction. I say we because me and my husband got in at the same time. The first 6 months in real estate, we sold zero transactions. And the money that we thought was going to last a year, because what they don't tell you in real estate school is that you have to market. You got to get business cards. You got to get signs, lock boxes, everything that comes, aside from even the dues and what you're paying for your classes. There's so much more that you have to invest up front. And so I remember my husband and I discussed, and he's like, hey, I can get out. And I'm like, listen, like, we can't, like, we've sacrificed too much. We got to continue pushing forward. And I told him, let's just go. And there was a whole Bible story that you're talking about, getting over to the other side of the water. And Jesus was like, hey, ye of little faith. I told you, when the disciples came in, they're like, oh my God, we're going to go under. He says, you have little faith. I said I was going to get you to the other side. I never said it was going to be easy. And that verse, that story is what pulled us through, because I was like, hey, the first 6 months was hard. We got in at the end of the beginning of the crash, end of the party, and we were like, man, real estate is hard. No, I mean it is, but no, we didn't realize that we were coming in at the end of a party of an easy cycle. Throw a dart, you're going to hit a buyer or a seller, and coming into this hard season. But it made us work. We literally were in the middle of July, door knocking, and praise Jesus, that for the second 6 months that we were in real estate, we closed 23 transactions, because we fell into an eminent domain situation, and we were able to go door knocking to that neighborhood. And from that neighborhood, we got 23, which started our base, and we learned right away. Fortune is in the follow-up, build a database, and we just followed up with those 23 people over and over again until they gave us more referrals, and we just continued to grow our database like that.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. Ruby, I've known you for a while now. I didn't know that story. I didn't know that. That's fantastic.
Which is funny, because I repeat all my stories all the time. So yes, it's good to meet somebody who hasn't heard one.
So are we on a upcycle, a down cycle? Are we on an easy cycle or a down cycle right now, in your opinion?
Well, I think that we are in a specific cycle where the people who are in the market are very sure that they want to buy. They're very sure they want to sell. We're not having as much wishy-washiness because they're having to make these hard choices. They're having to make that decision ahead of time. Hey, I see what's on the news. I see where the values are. I see where the rates are at. And yet I'm still going to buy. My situation is determining that I still have to buy. I still have to sell. And so while before people were buying stuff because they get at the grab, like, oh my gosh, I got to buy it before values go up too high. Oh my gosh, I got to buy it before rates go up too high. Now there's no like incentive, motivation to make them buy. There's none of that. There's no the dangling of the low interest rates. There's no the, oh my gosh, you better buy now before the values go up too high. And we're in a funky market because while inventory is still low, there's still a lot of buyers looking that need housing. And so all that's good. It's going to balance out. I mean, we're not going to see the craziness. And yet at the same time, I don't feel that we're going to be, the values are going to be dropping. I know eventually the rates are going to have to come a little bit lower. And really, I think that people who have bought real estate prior to these past 2 or 3 years realize we're just settling into a normal market. The last couple of years were a gift. I mean, they were a gift. And if you didn't open that gift, that's on you. You know?
All right. So Ruby, if someone was to come to you and say they wanted to get started with their journey in real estate, what are 3 tips you would give them to help them start on the right foot?
3 tips. Number 1 would be that you are a collector of names, numbers, and email addresses. And your number 1 job is everybody that you come in contact with, get their contact information. And part 2 of that is put them in a database, not your phone. That phone is not a database. Put them in an actual database that you're going to call them and follow up with them systematically. So collect the information, put them in the database, and then actually call them. It's crazy. It's crazy. I know it's a wild theory, but the third most important thing is pick up the phone and call people. Not texting, not email. Yes, you do those after you've made the phone call. Don't be scared of the phone call. Nothing beats the phone. And the ultimate thing to remember in real estate is the fortune is in the follow-up, and there's no truer antidote when it comes to real estate. The fortune is absolutely in the follow-up. I had a client that was in my database for 10 years before she finally closed. And guess what? I got her name, I got her email address, I put her in the database, I followed up with her systematically 2 times every year for 10 years until she finally was ready. Because I told the girl, you've been in my database for 10 years. We're basically best friends now. You could have owned a house already. I called her, I said, hey, how old is your son? 20. I said, he was 10 when we started looking. I said, and she's like, really? I said, yeah. Don't you remember? I said, he used to pee at every house that he liked. And he'd be like, I like this house. I peed here. And then he pooped one time and he's like, oh, I really like this house. She's like, OMG, I do remember that. I said, yes. She called me 3 days later. She's like, Ruby, I've been thinking about that and I cannot believe 10 years went by like that. I'm ready to buy.
I love it.
Proof of concept that the fortune is absolutely in the follow-up. And so those are the 3
So you
tips.
need to tell me
get the name,
that
the numbers, put them in the database, call them.
Even Ruby Miranda makes phone calls and follows up?
Yeah. Yes. I still make phone calls. I still follow up because that's the thing that's never, ever going to go out of style. It's never going to be a glitch to pick up the phone and call somebody.
Yep. Hey, so speaking of making phone calls and just changes and everything that's happening in the market, what are some of the changes that you see coming up that you're preparing for?
Some of the things that I'm preparing for is, well, one, just in general, again, getting better with my objections. Because the objections that we're going to be hearing and that we've already heard is, well, rates need to come down. So one, working on making sure I have a very clean objection handler for why they should buy now when the rates are higher than they were 2 years ago, right? Which of course is that we're settling into a normalized rate. And that actually goes back to one of our previous questions, which is being the expert, knowledge, and studying your field. The other thing that I see is that, so one, really, really buckling down on your objection handling. And then 2, the other thing, of course, the hot topic, I've already had it come up 2 times, is commissions. That, the commission, the buyer's agent's commission, I've already had that come up on the last 2 listing appointments that I went to. And so again, reading up on that, staying informed, because while that hasn't necessarily hit us too hard on the front end here in Houston, it's coming. People watch the news, they hear that information. And so it's really important that we show our value and why they need to work, why they need representation, not only on the listing side, but on the buyer side. And so again, ultimately, I think what's going to happen is that the people who are not willing to study and go beyond just the showing a house, opening the door and showing the house, those people who aren't really willing to buckle down, get into it, do the research, do reading, keeping up with the news, really staying in the know, those people are going to be out, because we're coming into a season in real estate where you have to be knowledgeable about what it is that's going on in the market in order for you to overcome those objections, in order to be able to get listings and to get buyer representation agreements.
I completely agree. In fact, I think that is one of the biggest changes that we're going to see in our lifetime, if for whatever reason the lawsuits that are pending do go through. For those of you that are watching this and don't know what the heck we're talking about, there are pending lawsuits, class action lawsuits that involve the National Association of Realtors and big name brokerages, and the pending outcome could determine how a buyer's agent is compensated or not compensated. And so we're going to have to really work through that process and find a way to still create some compensation for those buyer's agents, because nonetheless, I can't imagine anybody would work for free. So that's going to be something that's challenging.
I was thinking we're having a shift within a shift. It was a shift from low rates and high value and values going up real fast, to a shift to everything kind of flatlining, where it comes, they're not necessarily going up, but they're not going down. Rates went up, and throw in the mix of all that, the stuff that's going on. That's, again, real estate's been around for a long time. Buyer agency has been around since the 80s, and here we are 30, 40 years later, and we may start doing away with some of that buyer agency compensation. And then on top of that, brokerages that are getting away from NAR, which, again, that's a whole nother thing, because NAR really goes to bat for us politically. And so there's just so many changes coming in the next, going into the next year, that are really going to, again, and I know I'm beating a dead horse, but I cannot stress the importance of as a realtor, being educated. And realtor, lender, title, whatever field you're in real estate, is really, really educating yourself on the numbers, on the market, what's going on right now, where we're at, because people are asking, they're paying attention, and they're watching, and they want to know that we are truly the experts, and they want us to show our value to them.
Completely agree. Speaking of being the expert and showing our value, in 2024, this next upcoming year, who's making the money and how?
Who's making the money? The people who stood strong and didn't back out. I do know that already the onesie twosie, so the onesie twosie agents, they're going to be out. The ones who are only doing 1 or 2 deals a year, they're out. The ones who got licensed these last 2 years, they never picked up the phone. They hardly picked up the phone to call. They really just did to help their family, immediate circle. Because again, we were in a market you could throw a rock and hit somebody. So a lot of those newer agents are going to get out of the market. The onesie twosie agents are going to get out of the market. And with them getting out, that's going to open up market share for everybody. Because even though it's kind of like going to the dollar store, right? Yeah, it's only $1, but 20 items later, it's $20. 50 items later, it's $50. Well, same thing with the onesie twosie agents. You got a onesie twosie agent gets out. You got enough of them get out, then that's going to open up a lot of market share for seasoned agents. And the ones who are going to succeed are the ones who have education, systems, and systems and processes in place to streamline everything, because customer experience is so much higher. When you talk to consumers, it's one of the higher things that they're looking for is experience. Experience as far as once they experience while they go through the process. And that's why people who already have a heads up, they already have their database built, they already have systems, they already have processes, they already have people. Those are the people that are going to be picking up the market share and are going to really kill it in 2024. I'm one of them.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. You absolutely are. All right. So what are some of the other questions that somebody that shows up to the real estate rally should ask you about your business and your expertise?
Something that someone should ask me about my business and my expertise. Well, I would say one of the things that probably somebody should ask me about is, why do I wear the crazy crown, and the thought process behind it, the branding part of it, going all in on your brand. And really a lot of people know that I wear the crown every single day, and I'm very with so many realtors in the industry, if you have something that can help set you apart, it's so important because the industry, even with people getting out, it was already saturated. It's going to continue to be saturated, and it's important to have something that stands out. And it might not be a crown, it may be. I know a lady here in my area. She has purple hair. She has like undertones of purple hair, and so there's different people do different things to kind of stand out. And branding is so important. And really, whether you're with a brokerage, a big brokerage, a little brokerage, it doesn't matter. Focus on yourself. Make sure people know who you are, how to contact you, and they have such a tiny space. The human population has such a tiny space available to remember any one person from a certain industry. You want to make sure that when they think real estate, they think you. And that's my goal is when somebody thinks real estate, they think Ruby.
I love that. I love that. All right. So for everybody that's out there watching this, Ruby is going to be part of four female panelists who are crushing it in today's market. And that's going to happen on November 9th at Frosttown Brewery. Ruby, if someone's thinking about coming and maybe hasn't purchased their VIP ticket to see you and the other three panelists there, what's something that they should know about getting their tickets right now?
One, get your ticket, lock it in, because you never know when one thing that you learn from an event, like I mentioned earlier, the NAREP event, that one event really changed the course of my investment portfolio. And I can guarantee you, if he has me on there and he has these other three ladies that I already researched and stalked, and they're powerhouses, and he has all of us on there, I guarantee you there's going to be a nugget. There might be multiple nuggets that you're going to get that are going to change the course of your business going into 2024. I know Alan. I know what he brings. I know what he's going to bring to the table. I know the kind of people he surrounds himself with. And I can guarantee you're going to walk out of there with something that's going to be life-changing for your business. So get your ticket now.
Awesome.
Make sure you sign up. And see you there.
Can't wait to see you guys there. Ruby, thank you so much for contributing to this event. I think this is all about helping people grow their business. And I know that you're going to be a huge part of that. So again, thank you for being on here, for contributing. And I will see you on November 9th.
Yes, see you November 9th. Bye.